You're ready. Go ahead.
You ready to go, young man? Look at that thumbs up. We're good to go. Well, welcome everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Pembroke School Committee meeting, Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Called Order Life is Good. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? The flag is up the back. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Anyone that wants to make public comment? If you would just step up to the microphone, say your name, where you're from.
Hi, I'm Kate Nugent. I'm a resident in Pembroke, but you're also sitting in my classroom. I'm the library para for the 3 elementary schools. I just wanted to say some of us on school committee and admin just came from negotiations committee. It was good to have everyone in the room, and I just wanted to express all of our gratitude for a productive conversation. We look forward to continuing the process going through the summer. I just thought everyone should be aware that we're in the middle of that. So thank you all.
Very much.
Thank
Very
you.
kind of you.
Thanks, Kate.
Is there anyone else? Well, we get to acknowledge a special visitor. Eagle Scout candidate, Grayson Glass. Would you step up to the microphone, young man?
Grayson, just so you know, the microphone does not amplify in the room. It amplifies for
For the
local
TV,
TV.
for the
So
people at home.
I have a little visual to hand out.
perfect.
Just to help with, like, what it's gonna look like, kind of.
Love it. Thank you.
Also, welcome to your dad, Elliot. Nice to see you in the audience, sir. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Grayson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate the support. I'm Grayson Glass. I'm a junior at Pembroke High School. I play soccer. I'm in the band, and now I'm working on my Eagle project. So, still in the early phases of planning, but my plan is right now is the wall ball backstop, and there's many reasons why I've chosen this. And first of all, the PTO reached out to my troop and said they'd like another project on the field here, and I was like, oh, that's perfect, because I also went to North Pembroke, and I always thought like recess was great, but there wasn't like a lot to do there really, and not like as many activities as we'd hope. And at the Hallmark fields, there used to be a like wall ball backstop there, and it was always a lot of fun because you could play whenever, and it's like easy, not really any rules, and that's not there anymore. And then my brother Parker Glass, a couple of years ago, he has Eagle Project here at North on the recess field, and it was a Gaga pit. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's right over there on the recess field. And he got really good he got really good feedback from the school because the kids loved it, and it was just a really good time for them to spend at recess.
Right. And we ended up getting one at each of the other schools too. So Camden just finished his at his Eagle Scout project at Bryanville, and then the Hobomok PTO purchased a Gaga pit for Hobomok.
Yeah. So
It's
I
a
was
good
hoping
idea.
to
So
kinda
this could catch on. There could be one everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it just provides for a fun activity for the kids at recess. And it's also great because, like, any kid can use it, and there's not just one game that you can play. There's, like, you can do anything, like any handball games or kickball games you can use the wall for, which would be really helpful. And I am at the beginning stages of my planning, so I'll have a few carpenters that are helping out with my troop right now that can help me with these, like the building process, but like I'm planning for it to be 12 feet wide, 8 feet high, and there'll be like concrete in the ground with posts holding it in place, and that'll just be with like pressure treated lumber. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
kind
So Grayson, I think you already had a conversation with Mr. Murphy here, right? About
I did, yeah.
And I think the goal is to find the perfect spot out there on the recess field. We do have an irrigation system out there, so we have to be a little bit mindful. But I know that Mr. Murphy was so excited about the potential of another activity, though. We do like things at recess that have rules, so we will have to make up some rules for
Yeah.
the soccer bounce back.
Yeah.
But I know that he was very excited to add something else out there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, Grayson, as I always do when you guys come out here, I am happy to donate the first $100. Patrick, if you're out there listening today, Mr. Chilcott will give you $100 too. He just doesn't know it yet. So you've raised your first $200.
Thank you very
Is
much.
that fair?
That's awesome. yeah.
Everybody's kind of in favor of this, I think, no problem?
I
Everybody's
just have a
good?
question. Is it double-sided or one-sided?
I'm planning on it being one-sided.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so basically it's on grass and they kick or throw or whatever they're doing.
Yes,
back
yeah.
and forth. Okay.
Yep.
Are there posts that go into the ground, or is it how's it held it up?
Yeah, there'll be like either 4x4 or 6x6 posts into the ground with cement. So
Oh, okay. Wow.
yeah,
So it'll be sturdy enough to withstand
yeah,
the
it'll be
ball
very
hitting.
sturdy. Yeah. Yep.
And then is it painted or natural wood or is it flat or is it like?
Yeah, so it'll be like, I think it'll be like 2x6 pressure treated lumber. So you can't paint over pressure treated lumber like right away. So if I wanted to add like painting, maybe like it's say north on it, or it's like red, white, and blue, or whatever I wanted on it, I would have to wait like a month or so to paint over it. But I think that could be a fun add to it to make it look better. So
I think a nice Titans logo would look pretty cool.
That would
That's
be
my
cool,
suggestion. Also, if I could say, I had the pleasure of speaking at Camden Hawks' Eagle Scout this Sunday. We have 77 Eagle Scouts in Pembroke. I want to say since 1980, Ellie, does that sound right? 68, actually. 68, okay, sorry, I'm off, I rounded up.
He's already counting Grayson.
That's amazing. That is absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Fantastic.
There's 78, and there's a few more waiting in the wings. I know you'll be 78, you could be 80, the way I got it kind of figured out, but that's pretty darn impressive, so thank you.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I was a soccer player all through high school, so, I love the idea. I think it's going
Thank
to
you
be
very
fun
much.
for the kids, and, hopefully all the other schools will catch on. I like Aaron's idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Great job with the plan.
Thank
do we
you.
have to take an official vote? or we
Nope,
just
you don't have to take a vote.
Nope, you're good to go, my friend.
All right.
Now, you can stay and watch the whole meeting if you want, or you and Dad can sneak out the back door, whatever works for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Elliot.
Thank you.
Any adjustments to the agenda?
Nope.
Any communications?
Nope.
Nope, we did have a successful graduation on Saturday. I know some of you were able to attend. The sun did come out right at 9:55, right as we were entering the gym. So for folks that have offered some really helpful suggestions on Pembroke Connect on how we could plan differently in the future, please know that many hours of preparation go into graduation. I know that Principal Talbot agonizes over the decision to make it inside versus outside, but we do not have the flexibility to shift the times or the day with an hour's notice. So
Not only that, like the equipment to bring the
Right,
last minute to bring it all out to the field to be a.
I think it was a great
logistical
day,
meeting.
and
Yeah.
up until 8 years ago, we never even had an outdoor graduation.
Right.
It was always inside.
Yeah.
We did talk a little bit about the capacity in the gym and the size of next year's class and the classes moving forward. So it's possible we could go up to 6 tickets if we had to be inside moving forward. So, all of that feedback is welcomed, and we will do our best next year to make it even better.
It was a great graduation, so
Yes.
despite it being indoors, I thought it was a great event.
Thank you, Allison, for filling in,
Welcome.
giving a speech.
My pleasure.
Allison's speech was amazing. Quoted Taylor Swift and everything.
Evans, approval of bill schedule, we're good? Consideration of approval, I will take a motion to approve the minutes of May 21st, 2025 of the Pembroke School Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, by Sue and Katrina, this is gonna be the fun part, I'll screw this up all night. Katrina D. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, the ayes have it, Natalie, it's unanimous. I've always wanted to do that. That was my great moment in life. I get to tell Natalie, yay, life's good. The superintendent's report.
Sure. The first thing in my report is consideration for second read and approval, the FY26 administrator salary grid. So I had shared that with you when you all met 2 weeks ago. I have given you the past 10 years of historical information as well as what is proposed for fiscal year '26. It is a 2.5% increase on all of the job categories that are listed there. In addition, I supplied you with some comps, some area comps. Obviously, the area comps are for this current fiscal year 25. But as I said when we met 2 weeks ago, I do foresee needing to reorg the whole grid potentially next year, just based off of the comps in the surrounding communities. So, ideally, the goal is always to build an administrative bench from within, but there has to be some sort of financial incentive for people to come off of the teacher's grid top step and get into administration. And so we're getting dangerously close to where our elementary assistant principals are making the same, if not a little bit less than some of our top tier, top step teachers. So want to be mindful of that as we start to look at our grid.
And is it each year we look at this? There's not, like, you don't.
No, so you all approve the grid each year, but just for clarification purposes, administrators are generally a 3-year contract. So if I am a level 1 high school principal, I do not move to level 2 until the end of my 3 years and when my contract is renewed. So unlike some other job classifications where you move a step each year, you only have the opportunity to move a level every 3 years as an administrator. So if you were hired as a step 2 middle school principal in 2025, your first opportunity to move to a level 3 middle school principal is 2028. So the 2.5% is the only incremental increase that administrators receive. There's no other compensation associated with their contracts.
When you did the comps for the other towns, are you using like an average, or are you using what level are you using for them?
So I'm using their actual, so a lot of school districts around us just have 1 high school and 1 middle school. So those are their actuals. When you get into the elementary schools, it's their ranges. So the range of payments. There is not a lot of folks out there that have a grid like this, and we did not always have this grid. So fiscal year 15 was the first year of this grid. Up until that point, administrators negotiated individually for their compensation. Dr. Hackett felt strongly, the previous superintendent, about there being some sort of guiding grid, so that those that are great negotiators don't necessarily outpace those that don't advocate so well for themselves. So that's when the grid came to be. Most school districts don't have a grid that they're working off. Administrators do one-on-one negotiate with the superintendent for their increases.
So I need a motion for that, I'm assuming?
You need a motion to approve if there's not any questions, or?
Any questions? Okay. I'll take a motion for the second read for the approval of the administration's salary grid.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so Katrina D. and Allison. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Second time I get to say Natalie, it's unanimous. Before I forget, it's Patrick Chilcott's birthday. We have to wish Patrick a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
I don't know how old he is though, so I can't say, but I figure he's middle.
I believe you didn't want to say it.
37.
I said a little disappointed. Okay.
Yep, the second item is consideration for approval the overnight out-of-state trip to Quebec City. So this was, I think, the 3rd consecutive year that we would be running the trip to Quebec for our middle school students. There have been a couple of high school students that have participated in the past as well. We obviously keep the group separate if you're a middle school student or a high school student. Right now, Civis is just proposing middle school students. I think we have enough interest amongst that group. Our French numbers are healthier at the middle school than they have been in the past, which is great across the board. So.
Okay, so we do the same. Do I have a motion to approve the overnight out-of-state trip to Quebec City, Canada, May of 2026?
So moved.
Second.
Sue, second from Katrina. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstain? The ayes have it. Natalie, for the 3rd time, I get to say it's unanimous.
Natalie, there's no more, so don't worry. The next item under my report is the discussion of the strategic plan. So I did not re-share with you the 2 proposals that I had shared at the last meeting. I know you all wanted to have a chance to go through them and maybe do a little bit of deeper diving into some of the samples that they had shared. What we had talked about the last time were the differences between kind of the Cadillac model, which is Hanover Research EAB's model, and really the more local homegrown model that Teaching Learning Alliance uses. And again, Teaching Learning Alliance is working with the bulk of the districts around us that are in the process of strategic planning. The folks that are the consultants for that group are previous superintendents, most often from the South Shore as well. So it is a group that knows the work and knows the community a little bit better than a national research group. But obviously there were some differences, not only in the pricing, but in the breadth of the project that they would be taking on here in Pembroke.
Yeah, I want to move forward with the teaching and learning.
Teaching Learning Alliance.
Yes.
So their proposal was $20,000. Again, we can do it over multiple fiscal years. We do have some funding available this year in the professional development lines, as well as we had been planning on about a $10,000 expenditure for next year for that project. As I said before, it's a great time to be starting this work. It gives us some time to get a little bit of momentum over the summer while there's a little bit less distraction, and then really have those focus groups set up for the fall, those surveys, and be really gathering information as soon as school starts again, so that we would be in the position to have a full strategic plan by early April.
Yeah,
it's
no, I
great.
think I looked at the samples and I'm in.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the price difference is a huge factor, but also the fact that they have the local context. And I know you mentioned them being more hands-on as well, which I think will be helpful for us to understand the process so that we don't have to necessarily utilize their services in the future. If we don't want to, we can do, re-up our strategic plan on our own. So I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Sue?
I'm just really thrilled that we're going to be doing a strategic plan because I think we've needed it for a few years. So I think this is definitely the right way to go.
Katrina, any comments? All set?
Yeah, I think you guys will learn a lot. I think you'll learn the most from the process, right? I think we could all kind of steal a strategic plan from another community and plug in the Pembroke information, but I think it'll be helpful for you all to work as a body of 5 to gain feedback from stakeholders. What do you do with the feedback? How much is something measure when you're talking about narrowing something down to 3 or 5 goals?
Yeah.
What, how do you prioritize, and kind of learning a little bit about each other as you do it, I think will just facilitate all of the work moving forward.
So do we need a vote on
You
this
don't
or
need to
nothing?
vote. I will reach out to Teaching Learning Alliance and get all of their paperwork together and get started. So hopefully on the 17th, I can share with you an actual timeline for what it looks like. Obviously, the hope is for them to spend a chunk of time with this body over the summer just to get some of that work started before we get into the fall.
Great.
Any other comments, feedback, anyone? All right, then, keep going.
Sure.
Keep going.
I'm going to hand it over to Mary Beth. She's going to give you an overview of some of the professional development areas that we're looking at for the 25-26 school year. The reason why I'm doing this at this point is so that we can start talking at your next meeting about plugging in some presentations over the course of the fall and in the winter, so you can get some information on how those projects are going, so that we can make some really informed decisions as we get to the budget process. So as Mary Beth's talking, if there are items that are of particular interest of yours, we can make sure to schedule a presentation with some staff in the fall so you can learn some more.
So I just wanted to start by, obviously, we're going to go over a few things that you've already approved, but I'd like you to understand sort of the process. So once you approve something, it doesn't really end there. So for a lot of our AP classes, that requires that our teachers attend AP Summer Institutes in order for them to have like College Board certification to teach a college level course to high school students. This year we have 6 or 7 teachers actually doing AP Summer Institutes, which is a large number. Some of that has to do with new courses that you approve, like AP Pre-Calculus, AP Seminar, which is part of the English curriculum now. And some of it has to do with building the bench. One of the things that we get very anxious about is having only one person in the district who is able to teach a course. So we're very mindful of trying to encourage teachers almost at any point in their career, 7 to 12, to take one of these AP institutes, because it really does help to inform your teaching and give you a concept of that universal backwards design. If that's where we want kids, for some students to end, what are the skills that they're going to need? And that helps to inform your instruction all the way through their educational career. We have teachers that are going to take AP Spanish Language and Culture, AP Language, AP Bio, and AP Physics. So we're very excited about that group of teachers doing that work. And as you know, you've been great supporters of Project Lead the Way, but with Project Lead the Way, you've been hearing me talk a little bit about applied learning. Project Lead the Way has a specific pedagogy that goes with their courses of instruction too. It's very much that discovery method that I think Melinda was introducing to you about how things are changing so much at the elementary level in regards to how how they're rolling out assessments, and then how they're rolling out the supporting curriculum that goes with it. This year, we're in our third year for biomed and engineering, so we will have somebody taking computer integrated manufacturing, and somebody also going forward to take the second class in the engineering sequence, which is, I always mix it up, it's called Principles of Engineering, which you'd think would be first, but no. There's an intro and then there's principles. So that's exciting that we're starting to see some growth in that curriculum area. Same thing with the biomed. We have teachers that are taking the third class, which is called Medical Interventions, which is really interesting, where they actually give you a disease and you figure it all out, so that the kids are excited about that. And conversely, we had talked about this and introducing some of the pathway concepts at the middle school. We'll be offering a class called Medical Detectives as well at the middle school, which has some of the same elements of inquiry and that kind of design learning, hands-on learning. So we're very excited about a lot of that work that's happening this summer. It's a huge commitment on the part of the teachers. Takes at least, these courses are at least a week. Some of them are 2 weeks for Project Lead the Way. There's a lot of written work that goes with that for them, assessments for them as well. So it's really a tribute to our teachers who are willing to spend so much time and energy on really providing the best experience that they can for the students in front of them next year. We also have some teachers that are creating courses here. Austin Glass will actually be developing rock band and music technology for our high school students, which is very exciting semester courses that we hope will start to broaden and pull in some kids who sometimes don't feel that they can get into the music world a little bit later, but these are openings for kids. These are opportunities, entry points for kids that may not have had that opportunity in the past. So we're excited about that. We also have, as a result of AP Pre-Calc, we have our math department coming together to take a look at how that's going to impact geometry and also Algebra 2, because we want to make sure that there's some consistency in regards to the curriculum and the topics that are being studied, so that there is, again, I keep saying this, backwards design. If the goal is to get kids into those AP classes, we want to make sure that the classes that precede it have similar concepts, similar vocabulary, similar types of tasks, so that students are able to achieve that at the highest level possible. And none of it's a big surprise to them. Same thing in humanities, our benchmark revisions. We've been using a program, Allison loves this program, called No Red Ink, and we'll be looking at that program in regards to adjusting some of our benchmark assessments also in ELA. So that's like the summer, sort of the summer thing. There are 28 teachers that will be working on the humanities things. I think 6 to 8 teachers working on the math stuff, plus the 4 teachers in Project Lead the Way, 7 teachers in AP Summer Institute. So that's quite a lot of teachers that have made a huge commitment to that work for the summer. On opening day is always an exciting day for us too, because we have an opportunity to do, I would call it more workshop kind of opportunities for teachers to pick and choose some things on a menu that they might like to explore. We do a survey every year at the end of the year and get feedback from teachers about what has been working for them, what they think we could improve on, what are areas that they would like to focus on more. And one of the things that is consistent is teachers are looking for support around student behaviors. And that takes the form of, I kind of think about it in 2 pockets. There's a group of teachers looking for strategies for sort of de-escalation for maybe students that have high behavioral needs. And then there's a group of teachers looking, and probably they're looking for both, a group of teachers looking for supports for students who have anxiety, depression, executive functioning. This stuff is also open to our para community, which is an essential piece of our educational community as well. And that will be on opening day for people that opt into that. We're going to be following up with those behavioral sort of little workshops. I call it like a taste, like a preview of the year to come. With a series of workshops, we have contracted with a woman named Polly Bath, who's somewhat famous in New England for her, I would call them pretty funny videos. I don't know how, she's right to the point, she's very interesting, but she'll be working with our community next year. And we're also working with another provider right now to work a little bit on a different level with our 7 to 12 teachers around some of the behaviors that they're experiencing as well. So that behavioral kind of support and strategizing will start on the first day, but it will be supported throughout the year, which I'm excited about that. That was one of the things that came through in our surveys of our teachers. The other things that people wanted to look at next year, and we're going to give teachers choices in regards to what groups they really want to work on. We have some pilots. We have a Simplify Writing pilot for literacy for K to 5, which I'm thrilled about. I think we've done a lot of work this year in regards to math and math benchmarks, and I'd like to see that work replicated on the literacy side. It's a little bit harder. There's so many more components on the literacy side, so that's exciting that we'll be trying that. We have a group of teachers that are willing to pilot science, FOSS Science, which is a curriculum that we're very interested in.
What's it called?
FOSS, F-O-S-S, Science.
FOSS Science?
Yep.
Thanks.
We're interested in seeing, whether that's something that we should be pushing for our K to 5 students. Right now, they're working on really sort of self-created materials with some support from online sources. So we really would like to get that to be a little bit more consistent for teachers and make sure that we have the materials for teachers so that they're not having to constantly reinvent the wheel or to go out and find their own things. So that's an important piece of our work next year as well. At the 7 to 12 level, a few things came through. We have a group of teachers that want to look at artificial intelligence and cell phones. So that group will be meeting to really talk about what the experience is like in the classroom and to make recommendations to the principals and ultimately to Ed Sub or Policy Sub about what they are experiencing and how they believe that those two very important technologies, which students will live with forever, for the rest of their lives as far as we know, that how are we going to make those positive and how are we going to work with those technologies so that students can harness the power but still develop the skills that they need, right? We don't want them to substitute for all those skills, but we know that they need to work with them. So that I was very heartened to see that came through because I think that it is something that that people are hungry for direction and hungry for conversation. We have a group that's going to continue to look at grading practices, something that came out of our NEASC report a few years ago. They'll be looking just to see if there are some things that we should be doing a little bit differently. Same thing, we'll be looking at applied learning. So our goal is to extend the concept of applied learning out of the sciences and into some of the other areas that we are teaching as well. And there is a really cool, it's called the Democratic Knowledge Project that has a lot of really important, really interesting ways of introducing civics and how civics is taught. So it's a case study method with little kids, which is really interesting. Kids like that. They're given a role and they get to simulate a role. It's certainly not rocket science. Teachers have done that in the past, but the materials are created and provided and then there's assessment. So it makes it a little bit more accessible for both teachers and students, which is
7 through 12?
Exciting. The Democratic Knowledge Project, I believe, is mostly elementary, but it might push into 7 and 8 too, so I'd have to double check on the grade levels.
Okay.
Probably does go because of the civics requirement in grade 8, so it probably does.
Okay.
In addition to those areas that we're going to be looking at, last year, Gwen offered the VPA folks, or actually the art teachers, she was able to contract with an organization called the Art of Education, and the teachers were able to take modules online and use those modules, test them out in the classroom, write some reflection, and do their PD that way. I think that's amazing, and what we would like to do is allow more teachers an opportunity to create their own proposals for professional development. So if one of the things that we're offering does not really meet their needs in terms of the way they believe that the area they want to improve on or the area that they want to expand on, we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to do that. So we're hearing some fun things from teachers as we start to say, what do you think about this? None of this yet is completely written in stone. Part of our process is that we meet with some union representatives. We convene a professional development committee, and we're in the process of doing that now. So I'm a little bit ahead of that process, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity with you all. So I'll be meeting with the teachers and the paraprofessionals to go over what are some more input from them, and to see if some of these things meet their needs, or if there's something that we're missing that they'd like to add. So I just wanted you to have a sense of all the great things that you see and hear about during the year, and then you fund, sort of what the next step is. So the next step is getting ready for next year and making sure that the teachers are comfortable and enthused and ready to go, so that, you know, our students' experience is really positive. So
Fantastic.
that's it.
Any questions?
I just had one about the grading practices. Was that for 7 through 12, or was that across the board?
It was it was 7 to 12, sorry, it was 7 to 12, yeah.
okay.
And it was basically done departmentally last year, and they're going to do it interdepartmentally this year, which makes a
Okay.
lot of sense, because when you start talking about, for example, I would say, I don't know, was it 5-6 years ago, maybe even been longer, we instituted a 50% for freshmen. We all know that transition from 8th grade to 9th grade is one of the most difficult in education, and the power of a 0 is so extreme. So or under 50 can warp your average for the year. So if you start off the year with a 30 in English, if you do your math pretty well, you're just not looking at a great experience for the remainder of the year. So we instituted a minimum of 50 for freshmen in terms 1 and terms 2. Not for the whole year, but for those first 2 terms, to
Yeah.
kind of help those students that are really struggling with that adjustment to high school. So it's those kinds of adjustments that people will be looking at and thinking
Okay.
about, looking at other districts. What are other districts doing?
Yeah.
What's the current thinking around grading?
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
that's more 7 to 12, as you know. We have K to 5 as standards-based grading. So.
Yeah, got it.
So like with anything associated with grading, that group would work on it and make recommendations, and we'd
Oh,
bring
yeah.
them to Education Sub.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's helpful. I was just wondering the grade band.
How many people are in each of these groups?
So I can't tell you that yet, because we're going to allow the teachers to choose.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the teachers will make those choices. We'll be pushing out some of this stuff at the end of the year, but they won't really have to make a decision until the end of September. So
Oh, okay.
we'll know more by then. That's our first early release day, is at the end of September. So.
Well, I have to say, like, kudos to the teachers that are taking the time to do all of this work this summer, because, you know, like, I mean, that's a lot, especially the AP classes. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Right.
And
I mean, that's the formal work, but I will also just put in a plug for teachers. I don't know a teacher that doesn't go home and think about how they're going to revise over the summer. You know?
100%, yeah.
But you're right, these are intense.
they're
These
intense. It's
are
a lot of
hours.
work.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see AP pre-calc. I think that's going to be a huge add for our schools. So.
I hope so, yeah.
Would you like to sit in?
And then I just have a quick question.
Sure.
When you had said that some of the teachers were looking for support for the behavioral and anxiety, was that certain grades that was mostly looking for that?
It was
or
really
across the board?
It's across the board, pre-K
Okay.
to 12. The feedback is that, we've been talking about this for a few years now, but we're seeing students are different now, right?
Yeah.
They are just different. School looks different than when we all went to school. Kids are on screens, they're familiar in a different world than we are. And their behaviors are different. So learning how to maximize their learning and work with those behaviors, or to assist students in decreasing behaviors that are either unsafe or disruptive, is really important.
Great, thank you.
Allison? Yeah.
No, all sounds great. I'm excited.
I just want one last comment. I just am excited that somebody's going to take a look at the AI and cell phone stuff, because like I don't know what the right answer is. I have no idea, but I know that it's what we're doing may not be working. So
Right, and I think everybody's being somewhat cautious, but I will also really credit Jonathan Shapiro, Mike Tinker, Brandon Hall, actually the teaching and learning team as a group. They have been 100% against really knee-jerk, like, no, we're not going to use it, because that doesn't make sense either. But we have to figure out a way to balance it and make sure that our kids can still write, without ChatGPT. So how do we do that? What is the best way to do that in a way that makes sense?
It's not going away. We have to
It's
figure
not-
out how to
it's
live
not
with
going
it.
away.
Yeah.
And it's important that students know how to use it responsibly, and how to cite it, and how to, just how to maximize that.
Wasn't there a legal challenge, was it Hingham?
Yes.
Somewhere that?
Yep, Hingham was challenged
Yeah.
by a family that believed that their student had been unfairly disciplined for using AI. I think it was ChatGPT, actually. But the courts decided in favor of Hingham.
Yeah, and we actually looked at the policies as well this year, already on policy subcommittee, to make sure that we were okay legally, and we were with our current policy.
Works for me. Beautiful. Anything else? Mary Beth, thank you, as always.
All right, the last thing in my report is just a little bit of an update from Brian Phillips for spring sports. So at the conclusion of each season, he does like to share with you our numbers, and our spring season did officially conclude yesterday afternoon with our boys lacrosse game against Old Rochester Regional. We did lose, but it was a great game, 8-11. The boys had a wonderful season. Our girls finished up this past Sunday. Tennis was last week, so the season is officially over for us, but you can see from the numbers that the spring program at Pembroke High School is quite healthy. Our 4-year averages are, our 5-year average is 40%. This past year, we had 41% of our students enrolled in a spring sport. Traditionally, spring sports are the lower enrolled of the 3 seasons, but you can see through some of the work that Brian has been doing that participation has really increased the past couple of years. So that is great news. We have lots of offerings for students. Brian did send out that interest survey for sailing and dancing, so the dance team, so he has gotten some feedback on that, and he's working through some of the pricing structures to bring that information forward at a future meeting, so.
Well, again, I'd love to give Brian full credit. He's done an amazing job. The athletic program here, coaches, staff have been absolutely amazing. So, Brian, there's a shout out to you. Next on the agenda, subcommittee liaison reorganization. Discussion of topics calendar. I believe, and thank you one and all for taking my phone calls in the middle of the week. This is more than just a 1 or 2 hour meeting on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. There's a lot of phone calls behind the scenes trying to figure out how we make all this stuff. Should I just announce who's what, or?
So at your last meeting, I think the strategy that you had suggested was that each person identify what their number 1 is, and we would try to make sure that they got their number 1, and then that you would, by speaking with each of them, fill in the rest. So if you have that and you want to read it out loud, that's perfect.
Sure. Subcommittees, basically, right now, we're looking at policy with Sue to my left and Katrina Delaney to my right. The alternate could be Allison or Katrina. The other Katrina.
So you have to pick. You got to pick one.
Oh, you got to pick one.
Yep.
Katrina S., you're going to win that one. How's that?
Okay.
I think Allison's got a lot on her plate.
Katrina S.
Education. Both Katrinas, if that's easy. And then one of you, either Sue or Allison, was going to be the alternate. We have a preference, ladies?
Doesn't, I can't remember, I don't know, am I an alternate for anything right now? That's where I wasn't sure.
No.
Oh, okay, good. I'm fine doing that one.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I've got,
Sue, we're going to
yeah.
cross you there, and we'll make it Allison. Budget, Sue and Allison, with myself being the alternate. Long-range planning, Katrina S., and myself with Katrina D. being the alternate. Negotiations, myself and Allison. Sue would be the alternate. We got into liaisons. PTAD is going to be Allison. Legislative was me. I believe DEI, were we going to hold off on that, or did we want to assign someone?
Does anybody want it?
I think, Katrina, you said you might take it?
Yeah, I said I would
Okay.
take it.
Perfect, okay. That was the only one I think I had a question mark on. Katrina S. Voc Tech was going to be Sue. CPAC, Katrina D. Strategic plan. There was some discussion on this, ladies, and where did we come up with
Yeah.
this?
I can't remember who, I'm happy to do it. I don't really remember how we settled on
I
that.
think Allison would be
Okay.
a great choice for that. And if for any reason you decide halfway through that you can't handle it because you have a lot going on, I'm happy to step in.
And remember, you all will have a
Yeah.
part of the process.
Right,
This is
Yeah.
just- okay.
And then student council, I know we had kind of a rotating thing. Katrina D. Sue, I would actually like to be part of that if that's possible. And I hope that could be everything, unless
Great.
anyone have any objections, or we're good?
Sounds good.
Good.
Do we want to
Well,
have
this will
2
be okay.
people? 2 people being for student council?
I think we're going to
Well,
rotate the 3 of us.
The
three of
EU
us?
and
Yeah.
Sue. Okay, perfect.
If you don't mind.
No, that's perfect, yeah.
Nope, you don't have to vote.
We have to vote, there we go.
So in your packet, I had just given you a brief start to some of the subcommittee topics. We do have some things that we need to tackle pretty readily. So handbooks are scheduled to come to you as a full committee as a first read at your meeting on 6/17. So policy sub would need to meet before then to take a look at them. So we'll try to arrange something the week of June 9th if we can. We obviously have a whole host of projects happening this summer, so want to talk a little bit at long-range planning about some of those. The timing, obviously, we're probably not going to be able to tackle everything that we have approval for in one summer. A lot of it focuses at Hamamock, so we want to be mindful of kind of the order of the way things are happening there. So I wasn't sure if there was other topics that folks wanted to add to this, or if you just wanted to kind of keep it as a running list.
The one I was thinking just from town meeting is start the investigation on the cameras for the buses, on what grants or what that would look like, just so we know what that cost would
Sure.
be.
I feel like that's a long-range planning.
Yeah,
thing.
no, I think
So we didn't put that.
yeah. Because from research, when I was looking at it originally, it seems like there's like one company that
Yeah,
kinda
there's
does
the
it.
communities that are starting now, so there's a bit of
Yeah.
chatter on the listserv, so.
Yeah, so I think I'd be interested in having that added so we can look at it.
Okay,
Can
never
we
mind. It'd be under handbook.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say about the athletic handbook, but it's under handbooks,
Yeah,
I think.
you'll get
So,
a first
yeah,
draft of that in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
Can we also, at some point in policy sub, take a look at just our attendance policy? Mark does a fantastic job, like, as everybody knows, he's the reason why we have such a successful attendance at our high
Right, so
school.
that'll come to you as the handbook, through the handbook.
It comes through the handbook?
Yeah.
Well, I know, there's a policy also, and then there's a Destiny recommended guideline for policies on attendance. And I was wondering if we could just take a look at it. The reason why I want to just take, and we might keep it exactly the same, you know,
Sure.
but.
What I'm saying to you is that you just want to tackle it at the same time as the handbook in policy sub, so that we're
Oh,
not
I
approving
see.
a handbook and then changing the policy after the
Yep.
fact. That's all. So we'll
But
just
we
plan
can
to
put
do
it-
that
We
week
can
of
put it on
6/9.
as part of the agenda when we do.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing on long-range planning, because I know we talked about it, but just like the physical safety of Learning Lane, to
Oh,
continue
right.
that
Yes,
conversation.
yes.
Right, the curb and the walk for the,
Well, there's already,
Crosswalk.
we're moving in the right direction. There's that speed
yes.
sign now.
Yeah,
so appreciate
absolutely.
that.
Is there anywhere within the subcommittee calendar of topics that we need to put VOTEC, or is that going to just be with the work of the school committee as a whole?
So the vocational regional planning committee is going to meet in the next week or two. We had tried for this week, but it's not a great week for folks, just to put together sort of a timeline on when to start the education process leading into the fall town meeting. So Sue, as the liaison for that, can give you some updates as we go through that. Obviously, what I think makes the most sense is to be educating towards the end of August, beginning of September. I don't think we'll get a lot of traction over the summer, but I do think we should still offer 1 or 2 opportunities in the end of June or July for folks to come out and hear just.
Yeah.
And if it's helpful, I've already talked with the chamber, and we are hoping to plan something, you know, in early September. They've already got it on their radar. They're going to be reaching out to Erin to schedule something, just to have like a forum with local scene and.
Yeah, that's great. Another thing I was thinking about that we had talked about at one point is like having tables at public events, you know, like whether I know there's like Pembroke Community Day, there's something.
What
there's
about the farmer's market, maybe?
The safety day.
The safety day,
Is that the one
maybe?
you were talking
Yeah, the
about?
safety day this summer in
Yeah.
Farmers
August.
market also.
Farmers
the
market
farm-
too, yeah, just if there, I mean, obviously I don't want to overburden us with extra time to.
No, it's a really good idea.
But I think
Yeah.
the more we have an opportunity for people to come and ask questions or to find out information, we
Yep.
can have 1 or 2 people sit at a
Maybe like
table.
the open houses, back to school nights.
Yeah. Whatever we think, I think, obviously, I think, Sue, you know, you can think about that within your role as the liaison. I just wanted to throw it out there
Yeah,
that
it was a
I'm
great
willing to
idea.
help, and I'm sure other people on the committee would be willing to help as well.
Yeah. Great ideas, I'm writing them down.
Awesome.
Only as somebody mentioned, it might not be a bad idea, but I don't know what you guys think, but if like we do the parent-teachers night, whatever, if one of us could maybe be in a building, and that way if a parent has a question, I'm not saying someone has to do all 4 or 5 buildings, but if we
Yeah,
all
it's
took
definitely a
one.
good idea, for
You know
sure.
what I mean? Someone
Well, we
say,
have
hey,
a whole, it doesn't have to necessarily be just the school committee too, like we have a whole committee, so we could maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if people get to see respectfully
that's
us
true.
as
Yeah,
a
that's
So you're
school
talking about
committee.
more than just vocational questions, you're just
Yeah.
talking.
Just everything,
yeah,
just in
okay.
general.
Oh,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
general, okay, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
no
that's
more
a
than folk stuff, but
good
just-
way to be visible as well.
I think it's a great idea.
And Mary Beth, Jess, and I are happy to accompany as well. I know that you all are always have the best of intentions, but sometimes the question is not something that
Yeah.
you can answer. So
Yeah.
if we can provide an answer in the moment, that might be more helpful. So we're happy to do that
Not
with you
trying
as
to
well.
make more work for you people.
No, 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 no,
I
no, no,
apologize.
not at all.
No, I think
But it's a really good idea.
Yeah, going to where the people are is
Yeah.
an idea. Like,
I mean,
and it
the
doesn't
conferences
just-
only go till 6 o'clock.
Well, but it doesn't, but it doesn't just have to be the school community, like the community at large.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that being
right.
where they are, and that's typically, those community events.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, future meeting dates and topics?
So you guys are meeting on June 17th. Obviously, I will have handbooks for you, hopefully, for her first read if all goes well. Is there anything else you're hoping that we can give you on the 17th as well?
Are we meeting at 6 or 6:30?
6.
6, okay.
So what's the, did we say June 7th?
June 17th, and then after that, Erin, is,
Jenna, after that, you're the July 8th, I think? Is that
Yep.
Tuesday, 7, 8. We won't have the fiscal year close on that day. It's too close. So you'll
okay.
get your fiscal year close that first week of August.
and then we
You guys
have
are
August 5th.
5th. Yeah,
Guys,
I'm going to be away that week.
on August 5th.
Yeah.
well, we're set for the 5th and the 19th. I don't think it makes sense to move it up or move it, it's up to you.
Unless we moved it to the end of July, but I don't know if that works for people.
The 29th?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. What am I? You never mind. Keep it the 5th. Because
Okay.
I think that I'm screwing up my vacation week. I'm looking at the calendar.
Oh, no
I'm
worries.
always in the
Sometimes I
wrong
look at
month.
last year,
Yeah.
next year. I don't know what I'm looking at. That's why I don't even look.
I
I
was
just
gonna
say
say,
yes.
you don't
Yeah.
even picture.
So, with the 5th and the 19th,
Yeah. Stick
and
with
then we'll
the 5th.
figure it out from there
Okay.
going into September. Sound fair?
Yep.
Yep.
If there are things you guys want to see on the agenda for 6/17, just shoot me a note, and David and I will have a conversation ahead of time, so that we can make it a meaty meeting.
Is there do we get like a kind of like a wrap up of kind of the, I don't know, like some of the, I know we had.
Yeah, I can have the principals come and give wrap-ups.
Yeah, just kind of like end of year.
They would love that. They'll be here
You're
anyways because of the
welcome.
handbooks, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just kind of, just have like a, wrap up of the year.
The only other thing I was thinking about was the student advisory committee to the school committee. I know that they are in the process of electing people,
Yep.
so whenever it makes sense to bring them on board or to
Yeah,
like.
so they'll hold, it's been running on the announcements for the past few days. They'll hold elections right before school gets out, and then that student would start with you all in September.
Cool.
Could we invite all of them at some point? Like, do they know that they could like come to sit in the audience? Like, it might.
They can always sit in the audience, but you can only have one rep
Yeah,
at the table, and
right.
it can't
But
alternate,
but it'd be
so.
interesting to have them to come just to watch a meeting.
Extend the invitation.
Yep.
Why not?
I explained it to them and invited them when I was kind of going over the rules of what we needed to do as a school
And with
committee.
sports and work and stuff, it is hard for.
But now that there's a sash that you get at graduation, more
Right.
kids are. It's a big deal. With the sash.
I was excited to see that.
It was great.
I love a great sash.
Lauren was wearing hers too.
So the executive session?
Yep, I think that's it.
All right, that wraps up. We're going to go into executive session pursuant to Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy related to collective bargaining. An open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the legal position of the school committee as declared by the chair.
I'll
By
make a
roll
mo-
call.
I'll make a
I need vote.
motion.
Second.
Sue makes the motion, second Allison, by roll call. We'll start on the end. Katrina D.
Yes.
Yes, Allison.
Yes.
Yes, Sue.
Yes.
Yes, Katrina.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm a yes. Natalie, it's unanimous. We are now in executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Some look.
Hopefully see you another week or so.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.